What's going on, everyone? Travis Brown alongside Robert Cessna here just outside Vaught Hemingway Stadium, where A&M was just a field goal away from tying things up, but that field goal was blocked, so it's a third straight loss for A&M against Ole Miss. They haven't beat Jimbo Fisher hasn't beaten Lane Kiffin since he's been at A&M. Cease, your initial takeaways from a game that it's a little bit tale of two halves.
Yeah, what a roller coaster, because I thought A&M was going to get blown out when it was 14-0. Ole Miss is driving. They have over like 200 yards offense. Even if they get the field goal to make it 17-0, I don't know if A&M makes this a game. But that blocked field goal by Shamar Turner, returned by Matthews. A&M to me was a different team after that, and they could have won that game. And I think that's what sticks in most people's craw if you're Nagy. What if they'd have started well? What if they'd have done this? And we've heard that time and time. So while there's a lot of positives out of this game, I think you can take, the bottom line is they lost.
Yeah, I think that Edgerrin Cooper, a lot of guys talked about how much they knew that this was a big game. There's the barbs between Jimbo Fisher and Lane Kiffin, the fact they haven't beaten Lane Kiffin since he's been here, and that it's a 3-game skid against Ole Miss, now a 9-game skid in true road games. There's a lot on the table here, but they sure didn't come out playing like there was so much on the table.
Yeah, like I said, they had, I think, 34 yards or 44 yards in their first 4 possessions punted, and I'm thinking Ole Miss's defense is not that good. It's a perfect day for football. Why can't they run? Why can't? Then all of a sudden they clicked. They scored 3 touchdowns in the second half. They hadn't scored that much in the second half in the previous 4 games. So where was that offense? That offensive line woke up, it seemed, but why didn't they wake up at 11 instead of 11:40?
Yeah, I thought this was the best game best half the offensive line had played probably all season, giving a lot of room for the run game, most yards that A&M has put up total this year. What looked like clicked to you in that second half?
Well, the fact that they were just getting 3 and 4 yards every time they ran the ball. The 2 running backs, Daniels and Moss, never got caught behind the line. When you're in an SEC game, and what did they combine for, maybe 20, 21 carries, and everyone's positive. They had so many positive plays, and you can build on positive plays. We haven't seen that. We've seen A&M a lot of times in 2nd and 12. So once again, when you get the running game, then you can get the passing game going. Johnson looked really good. Ja'Jay Walker, I mean, he comes out of nowhere with Stewart gone, but the big interception, it really, they should have scored there. But to answer your question, the line was there, then you can run, then you can pass, and you can score.
Yeah, Ja'Jay Walker got a little more playing time today with Evan Stewart out. Jimbo Fisher said he bruised his thigh in the South Carolina game. It hurt a lot about Wednesday, didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, and they tried him out in warm-ups, but he couldn't go. They were also without Tyreek Chappelle at cornerback and Deuce Harmon at cornerback, so they were starting Sam McCall and the freshman, which I can't remember his name right now. Harris, Javon Harris. It's you got it instead of me this time. So there was some struggle, some continuity issues there on the defense in their first half. The thing for me, though, was the fact that it just seemed like the inches that they talk about had more to do with mental mistakes early. You can go back to, they had a false start on the first play of their second drive that put them back. They had Anais Smith calling fair catch on that. You had Shamar Turner throwing punches and getting ejected from the game. And the one blown coverage where the guy wasn't even guarding the guy on the trick play. Just too many mental mistakes in the game.
Well, once again, A&M was good, but not good enough to overcome those mistakes. Ole Miss made mistakes too, but they overcame them. And that's the difference. I know people are saying we sound like a broken record because we're seeing it over and over again. A&M can't get over the hump. The bottom line is they can't do enough to win. Whether it's the interception, whether it's those procedure penalties, A&M just does enough to lose. And it's very frustrating when Kiffin talks all week long about A&M having all these 5-star players, and then they play like 5-star players for maybe 22 out of the 60 minutes, or I'm not doing my math right here, so I say 32 out of the 60, not enough. But, Ole Miss gets out here with the win, and all their players said, we thought we were going to win. A&M can't say that because they haven't won enough.
Yeah, so there's a dichotomy here. Jimbo Fisher, they've lost now 4 games this season, but the games that they've lost have been really close. Where does that put this team, this coaching staff, and the way that they're trending? Because it's, on one hand, you can say they lost 4 games again this season, but on the other hand, you can say they were in all 4 of those games.
Yeah, because I think the bottom line, you have to ask yourself, it's like, I hit 16 at a casino 10 times in a row and bust out. Well, maybe I should stop doing that. I mean, when are they going to get over the hump? Because we're saying the same thing now for 3 years. When are they going to put it together? And I know what they're saying. Well, we'll put it together next year if you talk to players in Jimbo. But I can honestly say, well, you haven't done that yet. Mm-hmm. If they could have done that today, if they could have done that against Alabama or Tennessee, but they didn't.
So we'll close it out with this, because I think this is a game that both of us before said that we didn't think A&M would win, this one in the LSU game. So where does this leave A&M now? Where do they go from here, and what impact does this have on the season moving forward?
Well, once again, I sound like a coach. They got to come home and take care of business. But once again, the next measuring stick's not going to be at LSU. This was the measuring stick. I thought they would lose. I thought maybe they would play. I thought I'd see the outcome score, which I did, but I didn't think they'd get there that way. If you told me Johnson was going to throw for 300-some yards, they'd run for 150, not get caught behind the line, that they'd have 1 turnover, I'd say, oh, A&M's going to win that game. Well, they didn't, and it's the way they lost. They find ways to lose. We saw a team today find a way to win. And it's tough. They're in it. They've made it. Jimbo Fisher has made his own bed, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And you're right. The guy's lost 4 games to great people except for Miami, by 1 score. So, but he's making $5 million or $10 million, and Lane's making us to win. He's not winning enough games. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. And will he be back next year? I don't know. He probably will be. I mean, they want to come up with the money or whatever, but you got to start winning those games sometime.
Yeah, still staring down potentially 7-5. You're battling. You got to beat Mississippi State, Abilene Christian, and who else am I leaving out here? And there you go. It's been a long season.
It's been a long day.
You gotta win those games to get yourself in that position to get into bowl eligibility. But it's still a tough task to try to make sure that this thing is looking like it's pointing upward from here. And then you have to see how bad is the injury with Evan Stewart. Is he going to be back? Especially defensive secondary, Chappelle and Harmon. Jimbo Fisher didn't go into too heavy of detail about what's going on with those guys, and that could be huge moving forward. And then Shamar Turner, could there be any further sanctions handed down for what he did today?
And I think we need to mention, the defense didn't do their job today. And I know they're missing a couple corners, whatever, but Trey Harris is the latest receiver to go off on A&M. They can't cover him. He had a record-setting day today. And once again, A&M doesn't play complimentary football. It's the defense has played well the last few games, but they didn't play well today. And I don't want to sound negative, because let's be honest, the offensive line played well, the running backs played well, Max Johnson played well. He got the crap kicked out of him. How many times he kept getting up? Walker, man, that guy did a good job, but it wasn't good enough. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to get out of here, get back in so we can finish out this season. So be sure to check theeagle.com for our recaps and write-ups from the game today, as well as videos of Jimbo Fisher and what the players had to say after the game. And we'll be back on Monday to lead into that game against Mississippi State at Kyle Field. Thanks, everybody, for watching.